Did you hear that?
I heard it. Start the show.
The show has begun. It's I'm too busy to do a formal sit down podcast, so it's got to be done to and
Are
from
you
places.
are you home? Are you driving? What's
I'm
your
I've
status?
just left work. I'm getting in my car, and
Oh
boy,
man.
I just saw the craziest video. I just shared it with some of the family on the gram, but so I finally got a good look at this lady who was a Chinese spy running the city of Arcadia.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Now, have you seen any footage of this woman?
I have seen pictures of her in the newspaper. That's it.
All right, well, pictures don't do it justice because she barely speaks English. She barely speaks it.
Is she a black widow? What would you call?
She's a Chinese lady. That's
Oh,
what she
she's
is. She's
very
a very
Chinese.
Chinese lady, and she is on the city council in this video. I was gonna send it to you. Did I? Oh, hold on.
Well, no, Ted, you really don't need to. I live in a community that's about 62% Asians and a lot of Asian ladies. And the funniest thing that ever happened was when Haley and the girls were over one time. And your mom there's a community garden there. And, a couple of times she's had a plot. And so she goes in to show the girl, she shows Remy and Chaley, this is used to be my plot. There's a Chinese lady there, and she starts saying, "That's not your garden. That's not your garden. That's my friend garden."
All right,
And
you know, very
and
defensive. This woman.
she went off to this day. If you ask Remy the next time, tell me about Mimi's garden, she'll go, "That's not your garden." Remy, a 6-year-old, has been mimicking her ever since it happened. She
Well,
can't stop. It's hilarious.
I mean, it is pretty hilarious how up in
Out.
arms she got over the plot of dirt
Yeah.
to grow plants in. Um,
She
but that
she
I'm
def
not saying we're not saying that has no judgment on Chinese people or anything like that.
no no
This is
no.
just this lady in particular.
I'm saying I have spies in my neighborhood. There are people that have come over here from China. These are, they're $1 million homes. How do they just come in and buy them cash?
Hey, I don't
They're
know.
agents, baby. They're
I don't
agents.
crazy rich Asians.
But how do you become a rich Asian in a communist country?
Don't ask me. Well, just like the rich members of the IRGC, loyalty. Your loyalty,
Okay,
your service to the crown, or in
so
this
then you're
case, your
loyal.
service
Okay,
to the
wait a minute.
uniform. I don't know what the
Okay,
expression
so
would be.
you're loyal, and then suddenly they let you go to California to live, and you don't owe them something?
Now,
Give
if
me a
I was
break.
that sounds kind of like what North Koreans do. They kind of some of them get the chance to come over and do a little reconnaissance mission. Some just take the opportunity to bail. Like, all right, thanks, peace. I'm out.
Well, there's a number. There was an article in the paper, God, at least not within 2 months ago, that talked about the profile of Chinese exchange college students in America, and like 90% of them are attached to the party. They're party members over there.
That's
That's who
not
gets
good.
to that's who gets to come over here and go to school and get jobs
And so this is
and
why there's been a little bit of a clampdown. I get
and
it.
infiltrate. And it's not
That's
just, I'm not picking on China. Every country tries to do that in America.
hey, we are
It's,
pretty good at that ourselves, destabilizing whole nations. So I mean, yeah, like who are we to judge others for doing it? So we're not judging China. We're just saying we see you and we hear you. That's all we're
yeah.
saying. We see you
Uh,
and
I,
we get where you're
I'm
coming
not
from.
going to disagree.
I'm not going to
We,
disagree either.
yeah,
This is a survival of the fittest out here.
we got to be a free country. And so you're going to get some easy agents. Probably my next door neighbors are agents. And they don't have to do much to get to get what they got. They
Hey,
just got
honestly,
it.
I wouldn't be surprised. You have hard agents who are actually trying to do things, and you probably have soft, literally just observing, like that weather balloon that they
Yeah.
accidentally let got lost control of. You know, that was a
Well,
soft reconnaissance, I would imagine.
we're gonna find out how she got. Let's say, how did she get recruited? How did she infiltrate? And how did she get on the council at Arcadia? I mean, I don't know if you know much about Arcadia, but it's a wealthy neighborhood. So
Well, it's
the
pretty
Asians over there,
easy. It's pretty easy to you just say cut taxes and no benefits programs, and the rich people go, of course they'll sell you out for anybody if you do that.
well, we got our councilwoman
You
over
got
here
like
at
the
Lord.
guy who runs or is it Peter? No, it wasn't him. It was the guy, one of the co-founders of Google. I think Sergey Brin was like found the millionaire tax. It's like, oh, you can't do this. It's like, well, you guys aren't paying your fair share, so of course we're
Well,
trying to figure out a way to get it. Now I don't know if California's going the best about it. I know we got that fraud thing that Trump just hit us with, and
we
and there is some truth behind it. So you can't. We've talked about this. We've talked about how
yeah,
Newsom hasn't done the accounting for the money that was given. And it's like, okay, well, that's not good. You're
he does
supposed to
no
do that.
auditing. He
No
does no
auditing.
auditing.
So that's not good. We could use an audit. And but it just I everyone's doing it when you're a politician. Both sides are both
Our senator,
scheming, conniving, and using money that should be for us for themselves and their friends. Like I
our our Orange County Senator, Young Kim, so it's a female. She's from our neighborhood. She got elected. I actually voted for her first term. Second term, she called me up. She called our house. I answered the phone and spoke to her. This is Young Kim, your representative. And are you going to vote for me again? I'm assuming you voted for me. And I said, yeah, I did vote for you last time, but I'm not going to vote for you this time. She said, why not? And I said, because I don't believe in, professional politicians. Career politicians make me sick. You get in there a couple more terms and you're going to figure out how to steal and do the wrong stuff. And it's not fair to you. So,
steal and
yeah,
stay. Like
steal.
that's the plan.
Guess what? They're getting ready to. She won her second term, and now they're just about ready to throw her out because she's up to some shenanigans in Korea, playing games in Korea. So
Wait, sorry, I couldn't quite hear that part. She got
she
caught doing what?
she was taking campaign funds from people in Korea to help Korea, um, kind of get their foot in the door in California. So she was basically getting bribed to help Koreans from South Korea.
Yeah, it's going on everywhere, and and that's what the rich people are using. They don't pay taxes. They pay influencers to do things for them, which obviously
Well,
really works out for
no
them in the long run.
loophole. You can buy
Yeah.
a $100 tax lawyer, and you'll figure out ways to save money.
And
It's
so,
no
like,
problem.
everyone who wants to, like, say the government is inefficient or whatever, it's like, yes, because the people in it are making it so. It's not like it government could be efficient, but we allow it to be inefficient because we don't hold these people accountable high enough. And I'll be honest, it's hard to. I'm busy. It's hard to do my civic duty.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Have you been listening to this guy campaigning against Bass for LA City Mayor, the guy who got burned out of the home in the Palisades?
I don't know,
Have you seen?
but isn't there an Epstein guy also running for? He's got ties to Epstein. It's like, how can you even show your face? There's
No, there
somehow these
this
guys are so psychopathic that it doesn't
this
bother them.
the I must be talking about something else. This is just a guy that was living in there, got burned out, decided he had enough of it, that they've got to deal with these insurance companies and get these homes getting rebuilt because this dude's living in a trailer.
Yeah,
And he's running against Bass, and he has been on two debates with her. And there's an Indian woman that's also super lib that's running against. So the three of them been on a panel twice, and this guy made them look so silly. They had not done their homework. They took this guy for granted. They didn't expect him to be, as knowledgeable as he is. And I mean, literally, he turned their clothes inside out on them.
What do you
It
do?
was funny to. Oh, just that he knew the issues. He knew the problems. He knew the root causes. He knew the solutions. He basically, when they talked that they lied that they've got all these people out the streets, he had the numbers. He was talking about, no, we got more homeless, we got more drug addiction, we got more fentanyl, we got more,
Yeah, they
fire
hide. They
cars.
create a report that they doctor to make it like, okay, 30% reduction, but it's like, okay, but like there's probably like a 40% increase that they're not talking about. And how could there not be an increase? Like inflation's going up, like job cuts are crazy in Hollywood. It's massive, like a good chunk of these people worked in the industry and now they don't. Now they're doing jobs that they never went to school for or had any intention of
Yeah,
doing.
but that's got nothing to do with the fentanyl infected homeless people. The people that, true working people that lost their job, that are on up subsidy right now, looking for a new job, probably going to have to either relocate or start a different kind of thing. Those people, those aren't the people we're talking about. They don't go to fentanyl. They don't end up on the street. That's
I
that
just
doesn't happen.
I'm just like I'm just saying like how could there not be an increase when things have gotten so hard for everyone, for the entire country? So it's like hard for me to believe that like things haven't gotten worse.
It's a lot worse in California. We have so many more people that are employed here that there's so many more people that can become unemployed. So, we really, and it's very expensive to live here. Most people don't have a year's worth of savings to survive on. So, but the reality is a lot of people come here to make their killing, and they end up having to go home. They go back to live with, in grandma's basement or
Yeah,
somewhere
I
where they
don't
came from.
for some reason, and it, bless their hearts. There's, I mean, we still get people trying to get into film school, or we get kids from film school applying, and I just like I've had conversations with kids just out of school in the industry, and it's like, man, they didn't do you any favors, like not telling you how bleak the situation is. But I also don't want to tell people to like don't quit on their dream. But
Well,
I'm
that new
definitely
guy,
telling them you gotta pace yourself.
that new candidate that's going for LA city mayor, Spencer Pratt is his name. Look him up.
Yeah, I
He's
keep getting his
also,
annoying text messages.
well, he is the guy that's also pushing to bring back the business to LA. He's talking about, what he's going to do when he becomes the mayor, all the incentives he's going to give so that the movies come back to being made in LA. So, I mean, I don't know if he can do it, but he's saying he's going to try.
Yeah, I just like I
I think we're
think
getting a new mayor.
I
I
hope
think she's
so. I
going to be
mean, I
gone.
just I feel like she hasn't done enough to retain her seat, and she's got the whole fire on her resume. And sure, you could say she was in the dark about it, and maybe she was, but I don't know.
But
That's something you have to find out about. You have to care.
her her dark liberal money keeps coming though. I mean, the folks that are behind that, the movement that we're going to be socialists, they're dead serious, and they're putting so much money into it. I mean, it's unbelievable how much money's going behind Karen Bass. She's doing a lot of commercials, and she has nothing good to say. She didn't do anything good that was good for the people. I mean, she did a lot for the Communist Party and the Socialist Party. She did a ton for them. They're happy as hell. I mean, they keep telling her, hang in there. We're about to break California. It's going to be a socialist separate state. We're going to do it.
I don't
And
know. It's
I,
hard. It's hard to believe that there's like anybody's getting anything done out of here because it seems like there's so many cooks in the kitchen and so many things are. I don't know.
I wish,
Seems like
I wish,
chaos.
I wish for one year we could do two things. One, we could take everybody take a year off from social media. That'd be the first thing that I would do, and the second, just stop. all funding of all campaigns from anybody. Let those people, basically they've got to dig into their own pockets to campaign and to do commercials or do debates. Get all the money out of it. Get all of the money out of it. I would love to see the raw talent come forward and see if we could get some real politicians. That would be cool. Because I hate the fact that big money is propping these bad people up.
Well, this is something that as I've already mentioned before, it's like the people who actually are gonna who the people enough crazy to do it are crazy, you know, and the people who don't want to do it are normal, probably more like the people we would want doing it.
Yeah, I want somebody that's going to figure out a way to fund themselves. You know what? And I don't care if that person is Tom Steyer, and he's rich. If he can, if he thinks he can, he's got, that guy's been out in the public eye a long time. A lot of people know what all his demons and all the bones are buried that guy's done. So he's not going to make
I
it
don't
as
know.
a
Maybe we need
president.
to come up with a new system. Maybe it's time America adopts something new because our system has so many places and areas where outside influence can get in the way of what really needs to be done.
It used to work well. I mean, Ted, I just gave you a solution. No outside money for candidates.
Right,
None.
but
Zero.
unfortunately that requires a vote to get done, and like the people in charge aren't going to allow that to happen.
Not easily. Just take 1 year off. 1 year. Let's just try it a test. 1 year. No, nobody takes any campaign funds. You got to make your own.
I'm I would love to see that someday. I it's just
Well, that's what Spencer Pratt is. He's got nobody, and suddenly he's got all these people. Because he's saying all the right stuff. Suddenly he's got all these, people saying, "We want to fund you. We want to fund you,"
I'm
and the dude's
saying
going,
I'm
and he's
saying we
saying,
use
"No."
AI.
He says, "I'm not going to do it. I don't want your money. This is. I don't want to. I don't want you guys to have to, try to influence me later. I don't want to take your money. I'm going to do this on my own."
Here's
So
another
he's doing.
idea. Here's another idea. We go AI. A lot of people have been talking about this, and it seems like why not? Because a CEO is a human's biased. You have a AI CEO. It's going to pick exactly what the company needs to fix itself, and it's not going to demand a huge paycheck either.
Ted, we saw the movie. Okay, it didn't end well.
Which one?
Terminator.
Is that what they do?
Yes, AI gets too smart in the future and kills us.
No, 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 no. No one said anything about making it start too smart. We keep it exactly the way it is, and then we just and
No, it
then the
starts.
the
It
council, the
evolves.
board
It
asks
evolves.
the board
It
asks
evolves.
the computer, okay, what should we do, and it gives an answer. I don't know,
Ted,
man. Everything we do,
it
every problem we
evolves,
have,
and
our solution. It's like the chart that I see on Reddit that supposedly can predict when like good times and bad times will happen in America. And the theory is that the solutions we come up with to fix our current problems will lead to problems down the line. And then
Ted,
we come up with new solutions, which come up with new problems that we have to fix down the line again. And then it just rinse and repeat. And it seems like no matter what we do, it will create a problem down the road for the future.
well, I think that's possibly always going to be true. But the AI evolves and becomes selfish, and then it starts choosing itself, and then it takes over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what they say. That's what we've seen.
So
But the
what about
question
those
is,
Dodgers?
oh, the Dodgers. Whew. I mean, it's it's a it's not your typical slump, but it's a slump for us. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
let me tell you a funny story about the Dodgers today. I was at the gym working out. There was a young lady that she was wearing a shirt that said Baseball Island. And I laughed when I saw it. She goes, "What's so funny?" I said, "What is Baseball Island? I want to go there." And she goes, "Oh, you like baseball?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Are you a Dodger fan?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Well, I do social media for the Dodgers." And I said, okay, well, tell me. She says, well, my region is, we get so many good players from the Dominican Republic. My job is to do social media to the Dominican so that the Dodgers is first most important baseball team to them to the because we get so many good baseball players out there. We market to the Dominican Republic so the players when they get good enough they'll want to come and play for us. And I said, that's brilliant. I said, I used to work with the Dodgers, and it was a little family business, not sophisticated. Tom O'Malley made all the decisions. He had a small crew. And now the Dodgers are a serious, you know, corporate entity with all kinds of data and making, really good decisions. But I said, the people have no idea that there's a social media group that is basically campaigning into these, districts of the world or countries where there's good baseball players. Did you ever think of something like that was possible? I never thought of it.
Um, I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, I just if there's anything I can say is the WBC kind of opened my eyes to how international the game of baseball is, and I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised to hear it. I didn't think about this, but I'm not surprised because look at the Dodgers. We got players from everywhere. We have Korea's best
Yeah.
player, Hae-Sung Kim, and then we also have despite that, we only have one DR player as far as I can tell. It looks like it's just Teoscar.
I think it's just Teoscar. I think there's a pitcher, that Manriquez guy. I think he might be there from there too, but I think that's it. But there's great Venezuelans. I asked her about that. She goes, "Oh yeah, one of my teammates in the group that she does the same thing for Venezuela and kind of South America."
I gotta
So
say, like, yeah, and I mean, I'm not surprised. Players can come from anywhere. I mean, Cleveland, they're I guess the top pick last year was this Bazana guy from Australia, you know.
yeah,
And the Italian team, they're trying to create a club in Italy, and that they did pretty well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have a team of a lot of actual Italians in 4 years. And
yeah, they were
then,
they were good. They were
well, they were
good.
mostly American Italians, but I'm saying is the
I know.
future will be, and it's so funny. Most of them come from the Royals and the Sox. It looked like the
Yeah.
White Sox.
So you think LeBron will be back with the Lakers next year?
I don't think so. I've been seeing some reports in the paper that he feels like he seems it seems to feel like a little disrespected. I'm getting that sense because I heard something like they're trying to push him out and this and that, and I also hear from my friends who watch the Lakers a lot saying that LeBron kind of like lowers the team's plus minus or whatever when he's on the floor. I mean, but he's also still doing a lot, and he's also leading. He's doing things that a lot of players aren't doing. So
Yeah.
it just depends if the Lakers want him back.
Well, there's a rumor going around that he started this, I'm sad campaign about I being disrespected, so that he's going to try to get rid of Rob Pelinka. He's tired of Rob Pelinka. He likes to coach, but I think that
Hey, by the way, so it seems we were wrong. Rob Pelinka still has his job in April,
yeah, but it looks like that LeBron wants him out.
which is also interesting. So if it ends up being May, that's not bad. That means we're
Yeah,
pretty close.
LeBron will re-sign for a lower amount if Rob Pelinka is gone. And the Lakers have already
Rob
hired
Pelinka.
two. The Lakers have already hired two assistant general managers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The Lakers, obviously the Lakers are now owned by the same guys that own the Dodgers, and they're taking it. They're going to run it like a business. It's not going to be a family little shit show like it had been for the last since the dad died. So I think you'll see some improvements. I think LeBron will play one more year at least. I really do. I think the Palinka's gone. He's an agent. He's not a, he's not really an evaluator of talent. Usually the guys that get those jobs are the guys that are good scouts.
This kind of
And he's
brings up an interesting topic to me. And it's like you have organizations run business first, and then you got the families that are still holding on to it. And as we know, the ones run by families, little messed up, and then the ones run
yeah.
by organizations tend to do great. But like if you're a family that owns a team, obviously I'd want to keep that in the family, but I got to find a way to like
I
let
mean,
go.
like the Chargers have always just always they under, you know, performed. They always underperform, and because it's a stupid family running it. I mean, the Cleveland team, same way, man. They're just they they underachieve. They're family run businesses, and they're not. I don't know. I mean, it's just not professionally organized.
Right. So this tells me if you're a fan of an organization run by a family, you're a little bit of a fool, maybe.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
you're in for some hard times because they're going to
but
do some
probably
things that
yeah.
suck.
It used to work. I mean, when Jerry was running, the Lakers, everything was great. But then when he passed away, his two sons were, I mean, the talent skipped a generation. Their sister was pretty good, but she wasn't the operations person. She was the marketing person, and she did a great job in that role. But now it's, they had to sell. They had to become a professional organization. They didn't have the money to be able to spend on the team to make the money in return.
Mhm.
They just didn't have enough money in the bank to do what the Lakers needed. And now it's going to happen. I mean, you'll probably see the Lakers in 5 years going to be just like the Dodgers. They're going to be dominant. They're going to go after the best players. They're going to put together a team.
I mean, the Lakers have put together a pretty good team, so that's why I don't want to give the the Laker family too much BS. I'd say they're a little bit of a hybrid, a little bit of business, a little bit of family, But then you got teams like the Chargers or I think the Browns. That's a family too, right?
The Browns are horrible. The Chargers are horrible. Any of those family operations, like Seattle is a corporation. They won the NFL, right?
Well, they're
San
selling it
Francisco,
though, right? It's a family there, but they're
it,
selling, right?
well, the family had 52%, so they kind of made the final decisions, but most of their money was corporate. There was the serious corporate investors
So that's
that were
hybrid. That's a hybrid
that
one.
that were telling them to change, and then they finally said, you know what, we got to sell. This thing's got to be run correctly. So you're going to see somebody end up with that thing that knows what to do with it, and they won, but they did it with a lot of consultants this year.
Hey
So
man, running an organization like that, I can only imagine the things and and then there's all the BS that, I'm sure becomes available to you, you know. Like Steve Ballmer, thinks but but what he knows is possible through, you know, moving money around is probably not the same as what the Seattle family knows. So they're not as able to do sort of the gymnastics that they did with Invigoron and Kawhi and all that.
yeah, there's only so much because the NBA's got a salary cap, though. It is restrictive. You've got to be smart at what you're doing. You need to you have to have a goal of what your team, how they're going to play, and then you need to be able to pick the players that are going to fit in that organization. And that's really what it takes today because there's salary cap. You can't just buy stuff.
Right.
Well, and the Dodgers, there's a bit of a salary cap, but the Dodgers are smart. They get the players to take deferred dollars down the road, and so the salary cap doesn't bother them. The luxury tax, it works for them, not against them.
Right. So I guess that's the question is does baseball close out after this year or I would the Dodgers have to win for that to happen?
I don't. It's hard to say. I think the Dodgers, they definitely got the team to, win 3 times. They definitely have the horses. But will they do it? I mean, there's a lot of things got to go wrong. I mean, they won Game 7 coming from behind against a young upstart Seattle team. I mean, yeah, Toronto.
Yeah,
They almost didn't get by Toronto. That game could have went either way.
for sure. Honestly, it's a miracle that the Dodgers won it all.
Well, a miracle. I don't know. Is it a miracle that our coach made about 6 or 7 changes in that game, and they all
Yes.
worked?
Yes, it is a miracle because, like, you know, I'm sure Schneider did things on his side that, and they didn't work, I don't know if that's experience, luck. I don't know. I don't think
It's
he
just
knew that Pajes was going to, like, run into Kike. I don't know, man. Like, that's a little bit of
yeah,
luck.
but Paez is a dog, man. He goes after the ball. He's a dog. I mean, he's the kind of dog you need playing center field. He wants that ball.
I
Don't
saw
try
the
to take the ball away from Paez. He'll bite you.
funny thing on Saturday when we were golfing. One of our friends was like, "Oh my god, did you see what happened?" I'm like, what? And there's like a news article. It says Pajes is getting like he's getting suspended for like a crazy amount of games for juicing, and we were like, what? And as it turns out, the whole thing was fake.
I was going to say, is that fake news? Because I've never heard anything
That's
about
fake
that.
news. He got AI'd.
He got AI'd.
And I don't know who would put that out there.
Dude, and you were just saying AI should run the country, and now AI was going to get one of our guys suspended? Come on.
I don't know, man. I was just floating an idea that I read about online.
Well, what else you got, man? What else you got to talk about? Anything favorable? You want to talk about China a little bit?
I mean, I think we kind of covered China. I guess the only thing I'm left that I'm curious about that I'm still trying to figure out is what the blockade in Iran. I don't know what's happening. It sounds like last I heard UAE shot some popped off and shot some missiles at Iran. They're kind of they've been trying to play they've
Well,
been
wait a
trying to
minute.
play it
I
cool and
ran.
not be a
I,
direct like um they didn't want to be too involved, but they're
Iran
getting
hit them
too.
first.
Yeah,
Iran
that's what I'm
hit them
saying. I
first.
think UAE's like, all right, we're tired of this shit.
Well, that's what's going to happen. Eventually, the whole, Middle East will turn against Iran because they're provoking so much garbage.
Yeah, I
And
mean
I
it's
think
only a
that's
matter
what
of
Trump
time. They
wants.
don't have these guys are running out of fuel. They're running out of weapons. They just got caught trying to like infiltrate Kuwait. Who knows on like a fishing boat? These two
Yeah.
colonels or
But,
whatever. But
but knows that if he goes in there and starts blowing up the oil, then it's going to take, years and months, right, to put that all back together. The last thing he wants to do is kill. He doesn't want to kill you know, their uh, their way to make money. I mean, that's how they make money. He wants the good guys over there to take over for the bad guys. That's what he wants.
right, and it's
And,
really hard because the bad guys are doing a lot of things to stay in power.
and he
And
doesn't want to
and
break their backs.
I know this is why it like sucks because once again America we have to play war with the gloves on and and our opponent doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I to be
Well,
honest, it's not quite clear all the information I've gotten out of there. So I don't know. To me, at this moment, it feels like it's just a matter of time before it all collapses. But shit, we've been saying that for a few weeks now.
we don't know we just don't know how long it's going to take. I mean, we want them to come, we want them to realize they got to do it on their own. We don't want to screw up their infrastructure. We want the ability for the new regime to go in there and do a better job and, have a nice Iran. We
Yeah,
don't want,
it's
we,
tough, and I'm sure there's
you know,
quite a few people in the IRGC that are just like, all right, hope we quit. You know, hope like we stop this because then I can stop pretending.
I wonder if when this all started, we didn't already. How come our CIA didn't already have a new regime lined up, or did they? And did we accidentally kill too many people over there? Who knows? I mean, I wonder what really happened. I can't imagine that we would go in there with a plan to disable them without a likely regime in the wings ready to take over. That's the part that surprises me.
Well, some people seem to think that it's our spy agencies that are really like the ones going at it, and not they're the ones who are to blame for these wars. It's not politicians; it's the spy agencies. But I'm
Well, the spy agencies are always going to have to be active. And the truth of the matter is, some are better than others, and all of them make mistakes. So that's a prickly business, but you can't not be in it.
right. You got to be in it. Someone's got to
Yeah. You got to be in it. I
keep an
mean,
eye on what's happening.
look at Venezuela. They flipped over pretty quick.
Yeah.
We almost, I mean, that was the other thing that, Trump's over in China today. And that was one of the things he begged the premier to quit making fentanyl. It's not good for anybody. Just stop making it. I mean, all that fentanyl that comes from South America and wherever it's coming from Cuba, it comes from different places into the United States through Mexico. But who's making it? China's making it. They're making that fentanyl drug, the zillions of those tablets like crazy. So I mean, they're really. Why don't they just? You got to get China to quit making fentanyl. I mean, there's very few people that really surgeons have a need for a little bit of fentanyl. That's it. We don't need that drug.
Well,
But,
I I think, and they're trying to increase their position on Cuba. That's another thing I saw in one of the videos. They're taking old Soviet sites on Cuba that they used for surveillance on America and trying to, bring them back online.
well, we're actually getting pretty close with Cuba suddenly behind the scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if here pretty quick. I mean, they're out of oil because they were getting their oil from Iran.
Right.
They're
We've
kind of
we shut that down. So
their enemies in the toilet, and they're, you know what? We got to start dealing with the Americans. We're gonna see that Iran was selling uh, oil under the table to evil empires, communist nations, basically totalitarian nations, and giving them a discount. That's how they were getting at America. That's one of the ways they get at America.
well, I've
So
heard that
we got
from
to
what I
stop.
understand, like the pressure we're putting on Cuba for this is enough for them to maybe
Yeah,
reconsider our relationship.
well, that'd be great.
That would be great.
I think we all want Cuba back. I've never been there, actually even considered going there, but I guess back in the 50s, man, that was a great place to hang out.
And people are like kind of well, I guess there was a lot of like people who were upset at like Florida because they weren't very red. And from what I understand, is the Cuban American population wants something done about Cuba.
Yeah, they want to be able to go back.
Mm-hmm.
There's people here that had to, leave quick because they were on the outs with that new regime, and they had to get their butts and their money and their families over to Florida. And I don't know. I went to there was a lot of Cubans at USC for whatever reason, not sure why, but they were all, kind of from Florida and then over to the West Coast. And I met quite a few of them, and they lived in, there was a lot of Cubans in Downey where I went to high school. They were good. I mean, they're good people, smart guys, and like the kids in school, brilliant, sharp, really, on top of it. So,
All right, quit kissing the Cuban people's butts.
hey man, I got to tell you, I love a Cubana, man. I really like a good Cubana,
You're talking about the
and
sandwich though. You're not talking about Cuban per people
I'm talking about the sandwiches. I'm talking about the cigars
though. Okay,
and
so
the
you like the
rum and the rum
products
and the
of
rum. I
Cuba.
like the rum. I like
Okay.
the
All right. Well,
anyhow.
this is
All right.
this is a good place I think to stop. I have to
Yeah.
log in, unfortunately, back into work.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to hear from you soon when you got a free moment, and maybe we can set up a golf date one of these days. So take care. Have a good evening. Don't work too hard. Get something to eat. Get some rest.
All right, love you. I'll talk to you later.
Love you, son. Bye-bye.
Bye.